Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Power Vacuum. I'm your host, Belmont, and it seems in the modern age that video game lawsuits and video games just go hand in hand. We have this from the Games Post. Court denies Bungie's attempt to dismiss Destiny 2 Red War lawsuit, refused to consider YouTube videos and wiki pages as proof. Okay. Um, haven't gone through this yet. I vaguely remember this. I think I actually covered it. Uh, some guy was saying that they basically stole his story for, I guess the Red War. I thought it was called the Red Legion. Is his the Red Legion and Destiny's is the Red War? I don't know. I guess I'll probably find out reading this. I do vaguely remember covering this and saying that I didn't think he had much of a case because Destiny writers and Bungie will probably have tons of proof that they didn't steal. But it seems that they did have tons of proof because the case wasn't dismissed. So let's dive into this article. As I said, this is from thegamepost.com. The court has rejected Bungie's attempt to dismiss Destiny 2 Red War. That's the headline. I don't need to read that again. Oh, wait. Fan made wiki pages aren't enough to evaluate copyright claims at this stage. A federal judge has ruled that Bungie must continue facing copyright lawsuit that claims the company copied parts of Destiny 2's original Red War and Curse of Osiris campaigns from an unpublished sci-fi work. If it's unpublished, how do you see this is where I got confused before. If it's unpublished, how would they have access to it and know that they were committing copyright infringement, right? It's unpublished, which means it hasn't been made available for other people to read. The case filed by writer Matthew Kelsey Martineau has been active since late 2024, and things have gotten more complicated with Bungie's own game content now being inaccessible due to vaulting. Martineau, writing under the pen name Casper Cole, alleged that Bungie lifted plot elements, characters, and themes from his work posted on WordPress years before Destiny's 2 launch. So wait, if it's posted on WordPress, isn't this digital publishing? How is that not being published? How is that unpublished? There's so much about this case that doesn't make sense. I understand why I was skeptical before. If this is what I was kind of reading and these were if this was the language they were using, it's almost deliberately confusing. He specifically pointed out that Red Legion faction, a powerful alien military force in both his story and Bungie's games, as well as other shared elements like a celestial object hovering over Earth, war beast, and more. First off, I'm gonna stop right there. Celestial objects hovering over Earth is a sci-fi trope that has been going on for years. Doctor Who even did it on several different episodes. Most recently, I think they did it with Clara and Peter Capaldi's Doctor, where the moon was an egg. But spoiler alerts, by the way, if you haven't seen that episode, I may have just ruined it for a lot of people. But this isn't some sort of that is not a unique concept. You're not going to convince me that a celestial object hovering over Earth. I mean, there's a game that I'm just started playing called Scars Above, which starts with a celestial object hovering over Earth. The movie District 9 starts with a celestial object hovering over Earth that enters the atmosphere and goes down to Johannesburg. Independence Day from years ago starts with a celestial object hovering over Earth. This is not a new concept. That part's absolutely going to get thrown out. And if it doesn't, I'm going to be questioning who's running this court case because you can't convince me that that is a wholly owned thing. Shit, Galactus is a celestial being. When he came in the Fantastic Four comics decades ago, he was a celestial body hovering over Earth. All right, well, let's continue and see what they had to say. Bungie responded in late 2024 with a motion to dismiss, calling the allegations vague and unsubstantiated. Yeah, I kind of agree. To support its case, Bungie submitted hours of YouTube footage and screenshots from a fan made wiki to show that Destiny 2 was nothing like Martineau's work. After the court granted Martineau a chance to amend his complaint, Bungie tried again, filing another dismissal motion. Interesting. He got to amend his complaint without having to go to appeals court. That's kind of suspect. Makes me wonder who this person is. He does have the last name Martineau, so but also, really, Bungie, YouTube footage and screenshots, that was your defense? That's a weak ass defense. That really is. That is not something that I would be proud of as a lawyer. Where am I? In a decision issued today, May 2nd, so this came out a few days ago, about a week ago. The judge denied Bungie's motion to dismiss the case and also refused to consider several exhibits the company submitted, namely fan made YouTube videos of Destiny 2 and pages from a fan wiki called Destinypedia. I don't blame them because it's kind of a lowbrow effort. Judge says no YouTube clips and wiki pages. The new court filing was Bungie's attempt to get the lawsuit thrown out at an early stage. In its motion to dismiss, Bungie included links to fan recorded YouTube videos and summaries from Destinypedia to show the content Martineau was accusing it of copying, since the original campaigns were removed from Destiny 2 years ago and can't be accessed anymore. Why were they removed? But the judge wasn't on board with that. In her official ruling, Judge Susie Morgan made it clear that just because Destiny 2 is mentioned in the lawsuit doesn't mean the court can rely on third party videos or unofficial links. While plaintiff does reference Destiny 2 in his complaint, he does not reference the YouTube videos containing Destiny 2 game footage, the Destinypedia pages, or the Tyson Green Destiny 2's game director declaration. Tyson declaration? The order states. Bungie achieved the original code that comprised the Red War and Curse of Osiris campaigns, known as legacy builds. Destiny achieved archived. I'm sorry, that's why I confused myself. I read that wrong. They archived it. The game director Tyson Green's declaration reads, however, the Red War and Curse of Osiris legacy builds can no longer run because their outdated code is incompatible with Destiny 2's underlying operational framework, which has evolved considerably since the Red War and Curse of Osiris campaigns were retired. So, I'm going to pause. This is the problem with not having physical media or having online games. Because if you had an original copy of the disc of Destiny, you could probably install it on something that wasn't connected to the internet, have the original code, and run those original like campaigns or those scripts, whatever they were. The campaigns right there, but the scripting for the language and probably proved your point. But because your game is perpetually online and requires online connection, it probably won't let you play if you install on a device that is not connected to the internet. As a result, Bungie cannot feasibly provide the court with the original Destiny 2 games as it existed in 2017, including the accused Red War and Curse of the Osiris campaigns in any operable or reviewable form. Nor will Bungie be able to produce the accused campaigns in operable or reviewable form if the matter proceeds to formal discovery. That's both a problem and convenient because you can say, well, I mean, we can't access it. If you can find a way to access it, congratulations, you can search it. But since it can't be accessed, can you really prove we stole anything? There's nothing to claim then. No body, no crime, that kind of thing. The judge emphasized that Destiny 2 campaign, like the Red War and Curse of Osiris, are no longer available, and Bungie admitted there's no way to play or review them in their original form. Because of that, the court couldn't do the usual side by side comparison to determine if there's actual copyright infringement. Bungie's solution, fan made videos, just wasn't good enough. The court will not consider the exhibits attached to the defendant's motion to dismiss and will not convert the defendant's motion to dismiss to a motion for summary judgment, the court wrote. There has not been sufficient time for discovery, and the attachments are admittedly of third party origination. Yep, I agree. That's suspect. Their authenticity has not been established. The court walked through several reasons why Bungie's exhibits wouldn't be considered. First, even though courts can sometimes look at documents outside the complaint, that only works if the materials are directly mentioned and central to the case. In this instance, Martineau didn't include the YouTube links or wiki pages in his filing. That made them off limits. How do you submit evidence then? Right? I there's so much about this case that doesn't make sense. It's like the lawyers and the judge are all new to court proceedings. Judge Morgan also pointed out how complicated this case is compared to past copyright claims. Bungie has cited previous rulings where courts dismiss claims after comparing books or movies, but the judge complained that this situation is different. This case would require a much more complicated side by side analysis, even if the court had access to a complete version of Destiny 2. No, I don't think it does. I think if they can prove that his stories aren't actually original or his concepts aren't unique to his own story, then they still have a case. If they could just delve through some sci-fi, pull out celestial object hovering over Earth, pull out legions based on whatever. I don't know the story of Destiny. I never really got into it. I also don't know this guy's story because I've never heard of him before. But if you can prove that his story itself isn't unique, you don't need a side by side comparison. You can just say his story is not unique, which means ours isn't unique, which means the concepts aren't unique and therefore non-copyrightable or not to the extent that he's attempting to. Um, she also noted that the game and the written work aren't even in the same format. Rather, then compare a brief movie scene and a copyright from a pinball machine. It appears the defendant is asking the court to compare a collection of short writings to 13 plus hours of third party originated YouTube videos of Destiny 2 and several third party originated online Destinypedia pages. Because of this, the court refused to treat Bungie's motion as one for summary judgment and confirmed that the case should move forward. Martineau, for his part, had laid out dozens of alleged similarities in the filings from a Red Legion to powerful celestial objects hovering above Earth to character arcs, flame weapons, and timelines merging through sci fi tech. Timelines merging through sci fi tech, also not a unique concept. So it sounds like his story. Maybe I should go read it if I can and see how unoriginal it is. In fact, I might do that. I might do a breakdown of his thing and see if it's original at all. But because it sounds like it's not. But let's see. The court found these claims were not enough to meet the threshold. Plaintiff has sufficiently alleged the elements of an action for copyright infringement, Judge Bork concluded. You can read the full 16-page document here. That's the court filing. I don't want to read the court filing. I might have to go look up this guy's work, Martineau, and see if it's as original as he claims or if he's stealing other ideas from other people, thus rendering his case kind of null and void. But yeah, Destiny not getting their motion to dismiss, Destiny using third party people and shady means to defend themselves, as well as losing the original body of work in which they could cite to defend themselves, is not boding well for Bungie. Just really not. They are dropping the ball left and right. Like, this is not a good look for you guys. So you might lose this one in the long run. I'm genuinely surprised. I didn't think you would when I first saw this case. I still have my doubts about this Martineau character, but where it's standing right now, you got a lot ahead of you and you got a lot of work to do and a lot of palms to grease if you're going to win this one outright. Otherwise, you need to have one hell of a stellar defense. But that's all I have for this story. This is your host, Belmont, signing out.